Hello, and welcome to this short vlog, which is going to be explaining what's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. So, over the weekend, I've been considering and perhaps thinking about the future of StoryDev 2. Now, as you may be aware, StoryDev 2 is currently being written in C#. Now, that does mean it is restricted to Windows. You could possibly use it with Wine and Crossover to use it on Linux and Mac, but unfortunately, that does not necessarily mean you can use all of the potential features that could come along with it. Now, one of the libraries that I'm going to be using with it, Fast Colored Text Box, uses, I believe, some p invokes to effectively use some of the underlying Win32 API to make it perform fast and make it smooth running. It also uses GDI Plus, which is another part of the Win32 API, which is restricted to Microsoft proprietary systems, which may cause some issues along the road should I decide to use such a thing. Now, obviously, there's Scintilla.net, or Scintilla.net, that I could potentially learn. However, it got me thinking, what if I contributed to hxWidgets, which I'm sure you are aware is the extern and wrapper for hxWidgets written in Hex. It's, of course, mostly maintained by Ian Harrigan. There's also Ibylon. I can't remember his actual real name, but or her. But ultimately, I think the best thing to do would be to use hxWidgets if I want it to be cross-platform. It makes the most sense, right? And I've also made the SFML extern, and I'm going to be polishing it up over the next couple of days, adding the features and functionality required in order to get it to a state where you can use it to create applications. So that's probably going to be something that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days, and as a consequence, contributing to hxWidgets to implement the features necessary to make StoryDev 2 on not just Windows but Linux and Mac as well. Now, as you may also be aware if you've been following me on Twitter, is I have been watching a lot of Handmade Hero, which, if you are not aware, is a sort of a tutorial series of handcrafting a game from scratch using C, no libraries whatsoever, and just using the bare bones Win32 API. And so far, so good. I'm still halfway through the video series, if I may be honest. There's about 200 odd episodes, and I'm only on day 71, so it doesn't help to be that far behind, but I think I'm probably going to be going back through those videos anyway, picking up and taking notes as I go. One of the main reasons why I'm doing that is because I care about performance just as much as the next game developer, right? And game developers should focus on performance. And one of the problems with Hex is that the C++ backend uses a garbage collector, which is just no. You can't really use a garbage collector. You can't use these systems that manage the memory automatically, because that actually generates a lot of issues down the line, especially when you're adding a lot of stuff into the memory. You want to be able to manage it the way that you want to, not how the garbage collector wants to, right? And that's something that I think Hex should make as an optional feature, at least, to make it considered, I think, a language for using for game development in particular. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad language. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that it's not going to be as good as it would be handwriting C or C++. Now, for those of you who have also been following Jonathan Blow, who I've also been following, I sort of follow in his advocacy for producing a programming language that performs well across different platforms, and he's been creating a language called JAI, which I'm very, very interested in. I'm thinking of picking up on that fairly quickly once it's been released and playing around with it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be moving away from hx. I might even create my own backend for hx and jai. Who knows? Obviously, that would probably be sort of an experimentation. It's not going to be anything particularly... I'm not going to devote too much time, basically, is what I'm basically trying to get across in that sort of area, because if JAI is better to handwrite, then there's really no point in creating a backend for it. That being said, I will be continuing with StoryDev 2. Now, talking about StoryDev 2 and where it's going to lead, there's a lot of things that I'm going to be planning in the pipeline. Now, I'm making this short video for a reason, because I want to inform you on StoryDev 2 and its progress. So, on my Twitter, I've been pretty much just telling you exactly what's been happening in StoryDev 2, as in what features I've implemented, how they're working. I've posted several videos on Twitter, short 20-second clips showing you exactly how they work. That was a fly. But basically, the idea is you can have a DLL file and a types.json file which identifies what that DLL file is, and the reusable types that you can use within the editor. So when the editor loads that DLL file up and it identifies it, it's going to associate that with the menu item that's going to be added to the insert menu. When you click on the text field, for example, it calls a function within that. It creates the object from that DLL file, right? And then it loads it into the editor and draws the object representation on the screen. That's how it's working currently. But with the idea of migrating it over to hxWidgets and also using SFML to back that up, I think it's better to do it sooner rather than later, because if the code base gets too large, it's going to just be double the amount of time and work spent on doing that. So I think it's important to understand that. So now that that's been said and out of the way, what I'm also going to be doing is doing hxWidgets tutorials. I mean, this is a tutorial channel at the end of the day. It is an educational resource, and over the next couple of weeks I'm going to be doing hxWidgets tutorials. I'm going to be adding my own components to hxWidgets and contributing to the hxWidgets repository, as well as providing SFML. Now, I did make an article on my official website, Color ID, quite a while ago about the SD2 core engine, but I haven't really been adding stuff to it yet. Now, I still need to solidify the code base in my SFML extern. It's just going to be a binding, actually. It's not going to actually have wrappers per se. And one of the reasons why is because of what I'm about to explain. So StoryDev 2 Core is going to be the core engine, providing you with pretty much all of the capabilities that you can have in SFML put into that one engine, right? And there'll be sort of abstracted layers. So you'll have the low level stuff that communicates with SFML, and then you'll have the more higher level code where it's like particle systems, physics, collision detection, that sort of thing, right? And simulation regions. And as I mentioned earlier, now that I'm learning Handmade Hero and learning exactly how a game should be made, right, from scratch, and trying to migrate that over to the Hex code base with SFML, it's going to be a bit tricky, but it's going to be interesting to say the least, I think. I probably won't be able to migrate all of the code, but as I mentioned, I'm going to be taking notes, and I'm going to be effectively applying the techniques that are common in the industry for making game engines and putting it into the StoryDev 2 core engine. Be making tests and a variety of other things that will make it perform well, basically. So that's all good, I think. Now, you're probably wondering, why create another engine? There's already loads and loads of engines out there. It's a learning experience. That's the main thing. For me, it's about learning. It's about building up myself as a person, because obviously I'm not very well known, as you're probably well aware, to be honest. So it's good to be able to learn all of these different things, be able to learn all these techniques, all these different languages, and especially since JAI is on the horizon, I'm definitely going to be picking that up at some point. Just obviously not right now. There's no point because we don't have access to the compiler yet. But yeah, it's going to be a lot to do over the next couple of months, I think, and this is going to be an exciting year, to be honest. I mean, 2016 started quite well, and I think it's just going to get better. I think halfway through the year, JAI is going to be released, which will be about the time when I start learning it, perhaps experimenting with SFML, perhaps externally it in JAI. Why not? Yeah. Actually, you wouldn't need to extern it in JAI. What am I talking about? You can do C foreign function stuff. But anyway, short video. I'm not gonna go on for any longer. It's been 13 minutes, almost 15 now. So I hope that's a good enough of an update for you. And yeah, over the next couple of days, I'm going to be doing tutorials on hxWidgets, so stay tuned for that. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.